Hello and good morning, everyone. I hope you all are fit and healthy. I am Ms. Aisha Siddiqui, and you all are on Arham channel. And we are doing the S5BA students English language subject, also known as additional English or special English. I'm referring to this book. I have already shown you all many a times. So we will be doing the fifth poetry in it today. Uh, Yes, so to start with, the name is Ode on a Grecian Urn. Now, the poetry's name itself is very unique. It's written by John Keats, right? So, before knowing why the name is so unique, what does it mean? We should know who has written it and how unique he is, right? So, let's see a little bit about the poet first. John Keats. He was born in a middle class family in Moorfields, that is London, and rose to become a much loved poet in his store in a short lifespan of 26 years only. It's very difficult for people at a very young age to become famous and successful, right? Of course, gradually, when you move on to the age after 30s and 40s, of course, you are very successful because you worked for so much of time. But to earn and be successful at a young age, the age of 26, it's very difficult. And you need to work on yourself from a very young age for that, to earn from a very young age, right? Because we're already studying. So very few people do that, that with studying, they're also earning. And when they're earning, so at a very young age, these people are successful. I hope everyone out there is successful one or the other time. The youngest among the younger romantics. So he was known as the youngest. There are some people, if you're working in an organization, and mostly there are all big people and all, but there is one, you are the youngest in it. So you are the most loved one, right? So he was the most loved young generation poet. And he was also in the romantic era. Keats was known for his sensuous imagery of his poetry and lyrical charm of his poems. So very beautifully lyrics was written in his poetry. He had a different charm. His father, Thomas, worked in the stables owned by his father-in-law. So you saw he came from a very poor family. So to become very famous at the age of 26 is very, very difficult and very great thing for him, because now sometimes whose father is a very big man, they become very easily famous and very easily successful at a very young age. But for people whose parents are not that rich and not that successful, so it becomes a little difficult for them. But later on, it is in God's hand and upon your hard work. So it doesn't matter whose parents are what. But if you have the capacity to work hard, of course you will get success, right? So he now, for example, just take his example, John Keats. Um his father was a stable. He used to look after the stable of his father-in-law. Then, as an infant, when he was very small, Keats was put into dame school, a name given to small play schools run by elderly women in their home. So that was a play school actually. When he was 8, he joined a school in Enfield in 1803. In 1804, his father died. So when he joined school, just a year after his father died, from a fatal fall from a horse. So he fell from a horse and he died. As he used to take care of the stable. He must be doing horse riding and all, right? So he fell from a horse and he died. His mother's tempestuous marriage to William Rawling, their separation, and their mother's subsequent disappearance cast a shadow on little Keats. So after his father died, after a little time, his mother married again, and then she used to not be with them, right? Because she stayed with her next husband. And therefore, Keats had a very lonely childhood without father, without mother. Keats' maternal grandmother cared for him. So she was the one who used to take care of Keats and also his two siblings. So he had no brother or sister. When Keats was 14, his mother returned ill with ill with tuberculosis. So when she came back, she was suffering from tuberculosis. That's a very emotional and a very sad story to listen, right? And she died the following year. So even the mother died when he was at the age of 14. Keats joined as an apprentice to a surgeon, planning to become a doctor. So he was just an assistant to a doctor because he thought that he'll become a doctor and earn, right? After completing his assistant, or you can say an internship with him, he joined Guy's Hospital for further training. However, his career path changed after the publication of his first poem called On Solitude. So, we don't understand that where is our destiny. We keep working on one process and we say, maybe I want to do this, this, this. But God has written something much more for us. And God has written that thing in a very different manner for us. So we are working hard on one thing, but later on we realize that this was not for us. My path was something different and I was doing something different. But later on, it gradually that thing has to come for you, what is written for you, right? So as his first poem was published, he became very famous, and Keats knew where his destiny was. So after his first poem, he knew that he's not going to do good when he becomes a doctor. But when he becomes a poet, he definitely will do good. He gave up on his medical ambition, and then he started writing books. Poems were published year after year. His later masterpiece include The Eve of St. Angels. So very good and very beautiful writing, which he got very famous from. La Bella Dame, Sam's Mercy, and his great odes to a nightingale. So many that we just read, right? Now, Ode on a Grecian Urn that we're just going to do. And the second epic poem, Hyperion. After the publication of Lamia, Isabella, and the Eve of St. Angels, he left England and arrived in Athens, Italy, that is. He then traveled to Rome, where he died in February 1821. So he traveled along and he moved here and there and he wrote many poetries and many masterpieces has been come, and he had done a lot of contribution in literature. He looked at the death of fearlessly in his life as his poems and left instructions for his burial. Fanny Brown, along with a lock of her hair and memento from his sister Frances, a layer adorns his tombstone in Rome, and his reads. Now, his tombstone means where he is buried. He's buried in Rome, and there's a tombstone where what he wanted to be written on it is written on it. Here lies one whose name was writ in water. So it's written that here is the one who's buried, and his name is writ in water, written in waters. What an amazing life, right? So many ups and downs, and so many success, and so many loss. But life only means that you need to move ahead, leaving back all these barriers, right? Now let's go ahead and see little about the poem. Ode on Grecian Urn is one of the several great odes written by Keats in 1819. These poems reveal the poet's preoccupation with beauty and objects as well as experience around him in both life and nature. Now, a recurring theme in Keats' odes, seen in this poem as well, is the mutability of life. As we read about his life, is very exciting, very ups and downs. So his poems as well show that. This particular ode is a poem meaning one which describes is inspired by the meditates upon a work of art. So it's all about the word of art, painting, sculpture, etc. Here, an undefined speaker looks at the Grecian urn which is decorated with an evocative images of rustic and rural life ancient in Greece. So of course he was in Greece as well. So he's written about the life and the great ancient life of Greece. These scenes fascinate and excite the speaker in equal manner. They seem to have captured his life and fullness, and yet they are frozen in time. The speaker's response shifts through different moods, and ultimately, the urn provokes questions more than it provides answers. So you'll find a lot of questionings in it. Why this is happening? Why that is happening? So a lot of question answers are put into the poetries. He's mostly not giving answers in the poetry. He's asking questions from the poetry. Now these scenes, the poem's ending has been and remains the subject of interpretation. So the end is just like still a suspense. The urn in the poem could be seen as representing the challengelessness of art, of painting and sculpture. This particular ode form is also an invention of Keats himself. The ode is a poetic form that harks back to the theatres of ancient Greece. In keeping with the romantic fascination with Greek, the kind of art one should put, Keats have adopted it. So he's put everything into that. Now, he felt that the ode form allowed him to speak everything about the culture. All the questions that he wanted to ask are put into it. This ode consists of 5 stanzas of 10 lines each with a big poem. 5 stanzas with 10 lines each, beginning with a quartet of ABAB, that's the rhyme scheme, followed by a sextet of 6 lines, which seems to answer or question the first part. All right, let's read the poetry now. How still, unravished bride of quietness, how foster child of silence and slow time, Salvine historian, who can then express a flowery tale more sweetly than a rhyme. What leaf fringed haunts about their shape, or deities or morals of both? In the temples of the dales, what men are gods, or gods are these? What maidens' lots, what mad pursuit, what struggles to escape, what pipes and timbrels, what wild escapes. Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, you soft pipes play on, not to the sensual ear, but more unheard. Pipes to the spirit deities of no tones. Fair youth beneath the trees cannot leave your song, nor even can those trees be bare. Bold lover never, never can kiss. Though winning near the goal, yet not do not grieve. She cannot fade, though has not the bless. Forever will you love, and she be fair. Ah, happy, happy words, they cannot shed. Your leaves nor ever bid the spring, and happy onward for every piping songs for every ever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever painting and forever young. all breathing human passion far above, that leaves a heart high, sorrowful and cloud, burning forehead and parching tongue. Who are these coming to the sacrifice? Who are these coming to sacrifice? To what green altar or mysterious priest leads that heifer lowing at the skies? And all her skin flanks with garlands dress. What little town by river or seashore, or mountains built with peaceful citadel, is emptied of its foe. This pious moan and little town, the streets for every war, will silent be and not a soul to tell. Why art desolate can return to ethic shape, fair attitude, with breed for marble men and maidens overthought, with forest branches and trodden weed. Silent form, tease us out of thought, as doth eternally cold pastoral, when old age shall this generation waste. You shall remain in the midst of other wood, than are a friend to man to whom you say, beauty is truth, true beauty. That is all you know on earth and all you need to know. Now, in this, let's discuss the most important words that has come here. Urn, a sealed vase in which the ashes of the deal are stored. So you see, right? If someone is cremated, the ashes are put into it. The Greeks would usually decorate the urns with engraved fingers or themes. So they would decorate that pot, right? And ravished, that means pure, virgin. Okay. Sylvan, relating to woods and forests. Haunts, hanging around. That's haunts. Deities is gods. Tempe is a beautiful valley. Dales is valleys and rolling hills. So the hills that are like that. Then lot or pipes, flutes, or wind instruments. All those wind instruments are known as pipes. All right. Wilt is will, heifer a young cow. A heifer is a very young cow. Flanks, sides, citadel, fortress, usually on a hilltop. Citadel is on a hilltop. Overwrought, extremely elaborated designs. Now, cold pastoral, the story or depiction of ideally rustic scenes engraved in marble. So, this story tells you what all questioning he has put for the ancient Greeks, right? And all these questions are to be answered by the people and the public. I hope this thing that we are talking is this poem that we are doing is extremely touches your heart, and it's all about the ancient story of Greek. So later on we'll be seeing the question answers, and then we'll be moving to the new topic to a skylark is the next one. I hope you understood it, and please do take care of yourself and all the best. Stay home, stay safe.